In a quiet, floating station above Mars, a technician named Eli Veras was drinking his usual cup of synthetic tea when a strange alert flashed across his console. It wasn't just any signal that came from deep space, beyond known star systems. It wasn't coded. It wasn't encrypted. It was meant to be heard by everyone. The message spoke in thousands of languages at once. It echoed through every communication network across the galaxy, from human outposts on Europa to trade hubs on Proxima b. The words were the same. Bow before the Ascendants. We are the creators. We are the gods you forgot. Now we return. People stopped. Ships paused mid-flight. Crowds gathered around. Hologram screens across the solar system, staring in confusion and fear. Who are these Ascendants? Why now? Where have they been? But they didn't stay hidden for long. Within days, ships arrived. Giant, glowing structures floated into the edges of known space. They were silent, powerful, and unlike anything humanity had seen before. Each one looked more like a temple than a warship, with floating spires, glowing orbs, and beams of golden light. They did not attack, but their message continued. We are not conquerors. We are returners. You were once ours. You will be again. Some species in the galaxy bowed. Some begged. Some hoped for peace. But Earth remembered its past centuries of war, survival, and rebuilding. Humanity did not kneel. It listened, watched, and prepared. The United Earth Council gathered in Geneva under the flag of a united planet. Scientists, military leaders, historians, and diplomats all came together. One thing was clear. These beings, whoever they were, wanted control. And they already had it over many star systems. But not Earth. President Eleanor Raines stood before them. Council, her voice calm but firm. We are not children in the dark. We are not lost. If they are gods, then let them prove it. And if they are not, then we must show them who we are. Across the stars, a quiet resistance began. Humans were not the most advanced race. They were not the most powerful. But they had something else: tenacity, a refusal to surrender, a spark that refused to die. Even in the face of giants in orbit above Jupiter, hidden in the shadow of its largest moon, a secret project was already in motion. It was called Deliverance. Not just a ship, but a statement, a dreadnought built for deep space war. It was the most advanced vessel Earth had ever created, not because of its weapons alone, but because of its crew. At the center of it was Captain Arya Solon, a woman known for calm command and quick decisions. She had led missions through black hole corridors, rescued colonies from solar flares, and faced pirates in the asteroid belt. She believed in peace, but not at the cost of freedom. When she received the call from Earth Command, she didn't hesitate. Understood, she said. When do we launch? Meanwhile, the Ascendants began their slow march. They floated past colonies and star stations, declaring their return. They did not destroy. Not yet. But their message was clear: join or fade. Some alien races surrendered quickly. Others tried to resist and vanished. Humanity watched. Humanity remembered. And humanity built. Deliverance was forged in silence. Its engines hummed like distant thunder. Its hull was layered with smart metal that could heal from damage inside. Artificial intelligence worked beside human minds. Drones flew in flocks, ready to deploy. The ship was large enough to carry full landing squads, orbital cannons, and stealth fighters. But more than that, it carried a purpose. One message, one mission: expose the myth and the fear. The Ascendants sent one final message to Earth. You have been warned. Our patience fades. Choose wisely. Earth sent a short reply. So does ours. From the black void near Saturn, Deliverance began its journey. It moved silently, a shadow with a heart of fire. Behind it, humanity stood united not in anger, but in purpose. They did not believe in gods. They believed in truth, and they were ready to find it. Far above Jupiter's swirling clouds, in the quiet orbit of Ganymede, floated Forge Station 12, a secret construction yard hidden from the galaxy's eyes. Here, behind thick energy shields and silent security drones, Earth was building its answer to the Ascendants. The ship was called Deliverance. It was not a ship meant for running. It was not a ship for peace talks. It was a message in metal, a challenge to the so-called gods. Inside the forge, engineers moved like bees in a hive. Machines sparked, screens glowed. Massive robotic arms placed the final plates of armor onto the ship's black, smooth hull. Deliverance looked like no other human craft. It was longer than a city, shaped like a spearhead. With no wasted space, every part of it had a reason. Speed, protection, or firepower. Captain Arya Solon stood in the command bridge under construction, watching her future. She wore a dark flight jacket, her silver hair tied back, her eyes calm but sharp. A voice came from behind. "We've never built anything like this before." She turned. It was Dr. Malik Wren, chief engineer of the project. He was short, quiet, and brilliant. Arya smiled slightly. "We've never needed anything like this before." Malik nodded, looking out at the nearly complete ship. "The quantum drive is ready. Stealth tech is stable. Shields, well, as strong as we can make them. But this won't be easy. We're not just fighting ships. We're fighting fear, myths." "I don't fight myths," Arya said. "I fight." Lies of Deliverance was designed to be more than powerful. It was smart, controlled by Halo. An artificial intelligence built to adapt in real time. The ship could respond to unknown weapons, change tactics instantly, and even predict enemy movement. Its weapons weren't just lasers or missiles. It had grav lances that could bend gravity itself to crush or deflect. It had pulse cannons that could disable ships without destroying them. But most important of all, it carried truth. One full deck was prepared as a data and evidence lab, with communication arrays meant to broadcast everything the ship would learn about the Ascendants. If they were not gods, if they used tricks or tech to control others, Deliverance would expose it. Live across the galaxy. As the ship neared completion, Earth Command selected its crew. Not just soldiers, but the best of every field: engineers, linguists, alien culture experts, combat medics, and drone pilots. Some were young, eager. Others were experienced, hardened. All were volunteers. They trained in silence. No news reports. No crowds. Just determination. Among them was Lieutenant Jonas Kai, a drone operator with a calm voice and fast hands, and Dr. Alira Voss, a xenobiologist who had studied alien species for decades. They were not warriors, but they were ready to protect humanity's future. 2 weeks before launch, a ship arrived near Forge Station. It was not human. The station raised its shields, weapons locked, but the ship sent no threat. Just a message: "We ask for passage. We bring news." After careful scans, it was allowed to dock. From the small alien ship stepped 3 figures thin, tall, with smooth blue skin and glowing eyes. They were from the Valkyrie, a peaceful race from a distant system. Their leader, Selleck, spoke with sadness. "The Ascendants have reached our world. They took our sky cities. Our leaders vanished. They called it a return, but it was a takeover. We escaped to find you. We heard birth resists." Captain Arya met them with respect. She listened, took notes, and invited them to speak to the crew. Their story confirmed what many feared. The Ascendants were using ancient myths, illusions, an overwhelming force to appear as gods. They didn't ask for worship, they demanded it. The Valkyrie offered help, navigation charts, data, warnings. Arya accepted. As the final days of construction passed, Earth Command sent one last message: "This mission is not about war. It is about proof. If they are gods, let us see it. If not, tend the lie." At last, Deliverance was ready. Captain Arya stood on the main bridge. The lights turned green. Systems checked. Crew in position. AI online. Came Halo's voice. Calm, confident. Quantum drive charged. Destination set. Arya gave a single command: launch. With a silent flash, Deliverance vanished into the stars, leaving Ganymede behind. Its path was clear. Its purpose was simple: to face the gods and prove they were not. Deliverance moved through deep space, silent and steady. Its dark hull reflected distant stars. Inside, the crew stayed alert, watching for any sign of the enemy. Their destination was a strange place known only by rumor, the Obsidian Halo, alien. Refugees had spoken of it. It was not a planet, not a station, but something else, a black ring floating near a dying red star, large enough to be seen from millions of kilometers away. The Ascendants used it as a center of command. Some even called it their throne. When Deliverance dropped out of quantum drive, the crew saw it for the first time. The halo was huge, more than 5 times the size of Earth's moon. It glowed with dark energy, floating in silence. At its center was a bright core, pulsing like a heartbeat. No welcome, no threat, just stillness. Captain Arya Solon stood at the front of the bridge, arms crossed. Scan it, she ordered. Running full scan, said Jonas Kai, his fingers moving quickly. Strange readings. The ring is made of black crystal and metal. We don't recognize. No obvious weapons, but the whole thing feels alive. Any signs of ships? Several, he said, mostly parked near the center, massive in size. Before they could plan further, a message appeared on every screen. It was not a voice. It was an image of a glowing figure surrounded by golden light. Then came words, Deliverance. You have arrived. Your courage is noted. Come forward. We welcome you to the truth. Captain Arya gave no answer. She watched the image for a moment and turned to her crew. We go in, she said, but carefully. They moved closer to the halo. As they approached, a path opened in the ring, like a gate parting. A single ship came forward, not to attack, but to escort. It was smooth, bright, and silent. It moved like it was floating through water. The Ascendants were not trying to hide. They wanted Deliverance to see. Arya chose a small team to go with her. She took Dr. Alira Voss, to armed officers, and a small drone to record everything. She left Jonas in charge of the ship. If anything feels wrong, she told him, you leave. Understand? He nodded. Come back safe, Captain. They boarded a shuttle and followed the escort through the gate. Inside the halo, the space was breathtaking. Towers floated upside down. Rivers of light flowed through the air. Gravity seemed to shift with every turn. The technology was beyond anything humanity had ever seen, but it all felt too perfect. It's beautiful, said Alira quietly, but something's not right. At last, they landed on a floating platform. A tall figure waited there, glowing with golden light, his hands behind his back. I'm Verkale, he said, first flame of the Ascendants. Welcome, humans. He looked like a human, but his eyes glowed like stars, and his voice echoed, strangely, as if coming from many mouths at once. We've come for answers, Arya said calmly. Then you shall have them. He walked with them through the shining halls. He spoke of ancient times, of how the Ascendants were once like humans, mortal, weak, curious. But they had changed themselves through science and will. They extended life, built floating cities, unlocked the power of the stars. And when we became more than life, he said, we chose to guide others, to help, to lead. Many called us gods. We did not stop them. Is that what this is? Arya asked. Guidance? Verkale smiled. Order, peace, for those who accept it, and for those who don't, they suffer. But only until they understand. Alira stepped forward. You make others kneel through fear. That's not peace. That's control. You see it that way because you are young. He replied. They arrived at a chamber full of crystals and light. Inside were recordings, planets submitting. Leaders bowing. Cities rebuilt in the Ascendant's image. But Alira noticed something. The same patterns repeated. The same structures. The same phrases. They copy and paste their rule, she whispered, like a machine. Arya said nothing. She tapped her communicator once. A silent signal was sent back on Deliverance. Jonas received it. The beacon had been planted. The mission could begin. Arya looked at Verkale one last time. You're not gods, she said. You're just afraid to let others be free. His glowing face darkened. Then you leave us no choice. The chamber shook. Lights turned red. Ascendant guards appeared at the doors. But Arya and her team had prepared for this. Smoke, flash, movement. The team escaped through the halls, fighting their way back to the shuttle. As the craft lifted off, Deliverance moved into position. And for the first time, Earth fired on the so-called gods. The first shot was not meant to destroy, it was meant to wake the galaxy. It struck the crystal surface of the obsidian halo, sending a shockwave through its structure. The dark ring glowed red, alarms echoing across the ascendant command ships. For centuries, no one had dared to strike them. Humanity had just become the first. Inside the shuttle, Captain Arya and her team raced back toward Deliverance. Chased by the small ascendant crafts, Arya opened a channel. "Jonas, we need cover." "Fire, already on it, Captain," Jonas replied from Deliverance's lower decks. For drone fighters launched in perfect formation, fast and quiet, they moved like birds of prey. In seconds, they surrounded the ascendant crafts and disabled them. With pulse bursts, the shuttle landed in Deliverance's docking bay, and the doors closed behind it. Arya stepped out, armor scorched, but her voice steady. "We've seen enough," she said. "Broadcast everything across the galaxy. Deliverance. Send its signal." The message showed clear proof. The Ascendants were not gods. They used advanced technology and fear to control others. They edited history. They erased voices. But they were not divine. The transmission reached every human colony and far beyond. Alien species who had once bowed their heads began to look up. Some cheered. Some cried. Some stood still, unsure. But the silence was broken. The Ascendants responded swiftly from the inner ring of the halo. 3 massive warships began to move. They were elegant and deadly, shaped like wings of light, glowing with energy that bent the space around them. Jonas looked at the screens. "They're coming." Arya nodded. "Hold position. Let them come." The first Ascendant ship opened. "Fire!" Beams of white heat cut through space. Deliverance dodged one, but the second clipped its side, shaking the ship. Sparks flew inside the control room. "Shields holding at 78%, Halo reported. "Returning fire." Deliverance answered. With grav lances and guided plasma bolts, the Ascendant ship twisted away, damaged but still moving. This was not like past battles. This was 2 powers, ancient and new, meeting in open war. The Ascendants had speed and strange weapons. Deliverance had strategy, human will, an AI that learned with every hit. "We can't match them in power," Alira said. "But we can outsmart them," Captain Arya agreed. She ordered the ship into the Halo's rings, flying between towers and ruins. The Ascendants followed, but the narrow space made their movements harder. "Now," Arya said. Deliverance dropped energy mines behind it. 2 exploded, hitting an Ascendant ship directly. It lost control and crashed into one of the halos. Structures. A bright fire filled the sky. "First target down," Jonas said, eyes wide. The other 2 ships continued the chase, but they did not expect what came next. From the edge of the system, a fleet appeared. Not Earth's alien ships sold, damaged, but brave, flying with new hope. The Valkyrie, the Threx, the Goran, and others, species once conquered, now rising. They saw the broadcast. Arya whispered, "They believe us." The allied ships joined the battle. Small fighters darted between the Ascendants. Deliverance worked like a shield, protecting the weaker vessels and striking at the enemy's weak points. In the command seat, Arya gave calm, quick orders. She fought like a chess master, never rushing, always watching. The Ascendants began to fall back, but they were not finished. A final signal came from the halo. Verkel's face appeared again on the screen. His golden light had dimmed, his voice less proud. "You fight well," he said, "but you still do not understand. Without order, the galaxy burns. We gave it peace." Arya stood firm. "You gave it silence," she said. "We bring truth." He nodded slowly. "Then this ends now." From the center of the halo, a beam began to charge, a weapon, one not seen before. It gathered light from the dying star nearby, pulling it into the ring. If fired, it could destroy everything in the system. Jonas stared at the screen. "We have minutes. We won't run," Arya said. "Target the beam. All weapons, all at once, every ship, human and alien. Focus fire on the glowing weapon." Deliverance led the charge. Its cannons roared. Its drones flew straight into danger, dropping payloads with perfect timing. The beam reached 90%, then 95%. Then a final blast hit the weapon's core. A bright explosion lit up the halo. The energy beam collapsed. The weapon was gone, and with it, the last symbol of ascendant power. The battle ended. The enemy ships were silent. The obsidian halo, once so proud, was cracked and broken. Arya looked out at the ruins. "It's over," she said softly. But it was more than a victory. It was a beginning. Its black surface, once shining with power, was cracked and silent. Towers had fallen. The beam weapon was gone. Pieces of the ancient ring floated in space like the remains of a forgotten monument. The so-called gods had been defeated. Deliverance floated nearby, its hull scorched but steady. Inside, the crew worked quietly, some cleaning wounds, others repairing systems. There were no cheers, no loud celebration. Just peace. Captain Arya Solon stood at the main window of the command bridge, looking out at the broken ring. Her face was calm, but her eyes were deep with thought. "Do you think it's really over?" Jonas asked. Walking beside her, Arya nodded slowly. "Their power is broken. Their secret is out. They might try to rebuild, but they'll never be gods again." From across the system, messages began to arrive. One by one, planets and colonies sent their voices through the stars. "We are free. We saw your broadcast. We believe you. Thank you. Deliverance. The Ascendants no longer rule us." The message had spread farther than anyone thought. Even in systems Earth had never visited, people had seen the truth. The lie was gone, but there was still work to do. Deliverance moved carefully toward the remains of the Halo, not to conquer but to learn. Arya ordered her team to collect data, scan the old technology, and search for any signs of survivors. Inside one of the broken chambers, Alira Voss found something unexpected. A group of young Ascendants, no more than students, hiding in a safe room. They were scared, not proud, not glowing, just afraid. "We are not like the others," one of them said. "We were taught the stories, but we never believed we were gods." Alira looked at them for a long time, then sent a message to Arya. "They're not enemies," she said. "They're just people confused and left behind." Arya gave the order, "Bring them in safely." Deliverance was not built for destruction alone. It was built to reveal truth, and truth, sometimes, required mercy. Back on the bridge, Arya stood before a small camera. She was not a leader of nations, but now the galaxy listened to her. She gave a short speech. "We did not come to rule. We came to learn. The Ascendants were not gods. They were living beings. Just like us, their power came from fear and silence. That time is over. We welcome peace. We welcome friendship. And we welcome truth. Let this be the start of something new." Her message was broadcast across the stars. On Earth, people gathered around giant screens, watching her face. Children cheered, elders wept. For the first time in years, the planet felt proud and united. In alien worlds, statues of the Ascendants were taken down. Flags were changed. New voices were heard. The galaxy had shifted, not because of one ship, but because of one decision: to question what others called untouchable. The crew of Deliverance became symbols, not warriors, but witnesses. They had faced the storm and returned stronger. Dr. Malik Ren returned to Earth to lead a program to share the Ascendant's tech, not to control it, but to understand it. Alira stayed in space, helping other species recover their stolen history. She believed that knowledge must be free, not kept behind glowing towers. Jonas became a commander, training new drone pilots not just for battle, but for peace missions. As for Arya Solon, she declined awards and speeches. She chose silence. After delivering the truth, she retired from command. But her name was written in the stars. Years later, a monument was built on Luna, the moon of Earth. It showed Deliverance flying upward. With these words carved in stone, they called themselves gods. Until truth arrived around that monument, young people from every planet came to learn. Humans, aliens, hybrids, all equal, all free to ask questions, to speak. the dream dot, and far above them, in the sky, was a new constellation. Scientists had renamed a small star cluster near the ruins of the halo. They called it the Flame of Freedom. Because humanity had proved something important, you don't need to be a god. To change the galaxy, you just need the courage to stand.